When you hear the word Xiaomi, what do you think of? If you're from India, you think of a very good smartphone brand. And 4 years ago, it was just that. Xiaomi was a successful smartphone business, and its car business consisted of nothing more than a plan approved by the board and a vow by its billionaire founder to make the plan work. This year, Xiaomi's assembly lines are set to turn out 300,000 vehicles, that's 3 lakh vehicles, and it has already shipped more than 1,35,000 or 135,000 in less than a year on the market. The wait list for its first car, the SU7, a Porsche lookalike that starts at around 30,000 US dollars, is around 6 months, and Xiaomi's Hong Kong listed shares have more than tripled in a year. Xiaomi's founder has done what Tesla, Apple, Ford Motor and General Motors have been unable to do: create a hit, inexpensive electric vehicle and fast. Tesla took more than 10 years from its founding to reach the 300,000 vehicle production level. 15-year-old EV truck maker Rivian made 1/6 that number last year. Xiaomi's founder is a 55-year-old serial entrepreneur. He is a household name in China with tens of millions of followers on social media and a Steve Jobs-like flair for hours-long presentations where he touts his products. His latest was on Thursday, where he showed off a new 73,000 American dollars version of his car that zips from 0 to 60 miles per hour in less than 2 seconds. He has never lived outside China, but from a young age harbored admiration for American tech titans. He has said he was inspired by a 1999 book, Fire in the Valley, that described Steve Jobs and other Silicon Valley personal computer pioneers. He has been called Lay Jobs for his casual outfit with jeans resembling the Apple co-founders. In addition to marathon live streams, he has posted more than 20 TikTok-style short videos this year, sometimes pitching products, sometimes just chatting. Xiaomi's billionaire founder has carved out his place in an overcrowded Chinese electric vehicle landscape that has come to dominate the global industry. Chinese companies manufacture more EVs than all other car makers in the world combined, selling mostly to local Chinese consumers who, unlike Americans, have flocked to EVs and plug-in hybrids. China's biggest EV maker, Warren Buffett-backed BYD, Build Your Own Dreams, now sells more cars than Japanese car maker Honda. American automakers such as Ford and General Motors, by contrast, have scaled back ambitious EV expansion plans hampered by high battery costs and the slow rollout of EV chargers. Ford's chief executive Jim Farley has said China's widening lead poses an existential threat. Xiaomi sells its cars almost entirely in China. Other Chinese EV makers, though, are piling into global markets, sparking a backlash that has led the US, European Union, Brazil, and other nations to impose tariffs. While their overall share is still small, Chinese EV makers are grabbing a bigger chunk of the car market in Europe and Southeast Asia. One sign of the times, the best-selling car brand last year in Singapore, long a bastion for Japanese car makers led by Toyota, was China's BYD. Farley, Ford CEO, had a Xiaomi SU7 specially shipped to the US and spent 6 months last year driving it. "It's fantastic," Farley said on an October podcast. "I don't want to give it up." The maker of the sporty sedan, he said, was the Apple of China, Xiaomi. Xiaomi's rise could probably happen only in China. Chinese EV makers control nearly every aspect of manufacturing and can turn to domestic suppliers for most of their materials and parts. That makes their operations more efficient than those of non-Chinese car manufacturers, which depend on a global supply chain that is susceptible to delays, price fluctuations, and logistical hiccups. Chinese companies also enjoy government support and the freedom to put aside the quest for short-term profits to satisfy investors. The local government of Beijing, eager for a hometown car-making champion, pulled strings to fast-track the central government approvals needed to launch Xiaomi's car making, according to people familiar with the matter. Whatever Xiaomi's billionaire founder needed, he could readily find it in his own country, including the thousands of construction workers needed to put up a plant the size of 135 football fields in only 19 months. China as a manufacturing base for cars is simply impossible to match in scale, supply chains, materials, regulatory speed, and intensity of competition, said Michael Dunn, who runs a consulting firm focused on the China car market, in a recent blog post. The Xiaomi smartphone, still the company's core product, accounting for about half of its revenue, was an attempt to bring a less expensive version of Apple's iPhone to the Chinese masses. Xiaomi's billionaire founder built Xiaomi into the world's third largest smartphone maker by unit sales after Apple and Samsung. By the mid 2010s, Apple was researching a possible Apple car, and Xiaomi executives repeatedly pressed its billionaire founder to consider the idea as well. He said making a car looked too risky and too costly. But in January 2021, Xiaomi's billionaire founder was startled when a friend called to say that the US Defense Department added Xiaomi to a list of companies that support China's military, which would prohibit Americans from investing in the company. The designation was later removed, but Xiaomi's billionaire founder said in a speech last year that the experience prompted him to reconsider cars as a way to diversify. There was another concern. Some of Xiaomi's top talent had defected to EV companies. Xiaomi's board met in March 2021. Xiaomi's billionaire founder told directors that the car had become an extension of people's digital lives. It's the future and Xiaomi must be part of it, he recalled saying at the time. Xiaomi's billionaire founder told directors the project would cost some 10 billion American dollars. They decided to say yes on the condition that Xiaomi's billionaire founder personally lead the project. Cities across China vied to attract Xiaomi's car factory, from Xiaomi's billionaire founder's home province in central China to Tesla's host city, Shanghai. Beijing's city government, like the others, offered help with getting land and tax benefits, but it had a trump card, pull with the central government, which had begun holding back approvals for new EV makers to avoid oversaturation. Xiaomi got the go-ahead. Xiaomi's billionaire founder told his team to speak to potential customers one-on-one rather than rely on market surveys. He was sometimes spotted in Xiaomi's underground garage inspecting cars he had never driven. He would approach the owner, strike up a conversation about its pros and cons, and find a way to borrow it for a day or two. He also insisted that all the executives in Xiaomi's auto division, himself included, take professional racing training. His conclusion: people wanted an affordable and sporty sedan costing less than a Tesla and with a range of more than 400 miles. And it must connect seamlessly with Xiaomi's smartphones and other smart devices. Xiaomi's billionaire founder turned to his network of contacts developed through making smartphones as well as Xiaomi brand home appliances. Xiaomi and its billionaire founder had invested in dozens of companies with technology critical to EVs, including autonomous driving systems, batteries, and automotive chips, according to corporate filings. Xiaomi's billionaire founder said the founders of fellow EV startups Xpeng and NIO offered him tips in the hopes that Xiaomi could give the entire EV industry credibility. To keep the price down, Xiaomi's billionaire founder decided that Xiaomi should make barely any profit on the cars to start and hope for future profits by selling car software and other services, according to people with knowledge of his strategy. Drawing on its R&D team of tens and thousands of people and profits from the smartphone business, Xiaomi invested in production technology that could save money in the long run. Foremost was an idea borrowed from Tesla. Xiaomi called it the hyper casting machine, which employs large-scale, high-pressure aluminum die casting to create car frames. Automakers traditionally forge dozens of parts separately and weld them together. The Xiaomi machine, several stories high and 2 basketball courts long, creates a car frame as a single piece in 100 seconds, taking molten metal heated to 1300 degrees Fahrenheit and dunking the shape into 45-degree water to harden it. To assemble the car, more than 700 robots work in unison in what is known as a dark factory, so automated that in theory the lights could be shut off. With a following of tens of millions on social media, Xiaomi's billionaire founder used his personal brand to market the car, bypassing conventional advertising. The wait list was already ballooning when the SU7 went on sale last spring. Xiaomi's billionaire founder has faced criticism for the car's resemblance to a Porsche. In an interview with local media in April, Xiaomi's billionaire founder said it was common for cars to resemble one another and pointed to distinctive features in the SU7 such as the headlight design. But people are saying we look like McLaren. Recently, Lei was spotted driving a Ferrari Purosangue Thoroughbred, a $400,000 American dollar Italian SUV, which prompted fans to speculate he might create a more affordable version of the Ferrari. Wan Ni, a BMW 3 Series owner, said she wanted to go electric because of high gas prices and was planning a test drive of the Xiaomi SU7 drawn by the design and vibrant colors. Xiaomi's billionaire founder says women account for half of Xiaomi car customers and are driving the brand's growth. He recently said he does not want Xiaomi perceived as merely a low-price brand. On New Year's Eve, Xiaomi's billionaire founder streamed a 4.5-hour show live on social media, showing off his Leviathan casting machine and talking about how he wants to push the brand toward the higher end, as Apple has done with its products. Xiaomi is still a fraction of the size of the world's top automakers that make millions of vehicles a year. My current priority is to simply get a seat at the table. Unlike Steve Jobs, I am more pragmatic and willing to show humility.